I did want to try the Weiner Sandwich.
Oh god,
Twinkie Weiner Sandwich.
I saw him do that. I was like, you know what? I'd try it.
Yeah.
Actually, don't take that soundbite out of context. I'm talking about Twinkie.
You want to try a Weiner
That's
Sandwich?
all.
Is that what you're right?
Oh.
What you're saying?
Right now is the time for me to leave everything I know behind.
We've got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews. Don't talk about anything else we don't want to know. We're dedicated to our favorite shows. Thus saith the Black Flag.
Black Flag.
the black flag.
The.
Little low-hanging fruit there.
It's like the Ohio State University. The Black Flag.
The Black Flags. Have you heard of them? They're a garage band from Akron.
Hi, we're the Black Flags.
I really hope there's actually a band out there called the
We
Black
like
Flags.
playing music and having fun.
But they're not. They're the anti-punk. They're like
Right.
Christian rock.
They're like Striper.
Yeah. Hi guys, we're the Black Flags. Oh,
We're
all
opening for Amy Grant at the county fair.
right. People show up to their show on accident. Oh fuck.
Do some spoken word, Henry Rollins. We're talking about UHF, which is the 1989 Weird Al Yankovic opus starring SNL's Victoria Jackson, who
Not Weird Al.
No, not until later.
You didn't start with him.
Not until later in the intro,
He's not the star.
which is how I
Not the
wrote
star
it.
at all.
Terry is.
Continue.
The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Kevin McCarthy, the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Michael, you only know me from Seinfeld and literally nothing else of note. Certainly no career-ending racist tirades, Richards, as well as the man himself, Alfred Matthew Yankovic.
His real name's Alfred Matthew.
That's his real name.
Alfred
Alfred
When he,
Matthew.
only when he's
You don't
in
think he was
trouble.
born weird?
Only when he's in trouble with his mom.
Could it be
Alfred
Al?
Matthew Yankovic.
I get the feeling he was never in trouble. He seems like such a good kid.
Is it Yankovic?
I bet
I think it's Yankovic.
my dad used to say, he'd be like, Weird Al Yankovic. We'd be like, Yankovic, Dad.
This movie, I think, is endlessly quoted by like every hyperactive TV addicted kid, just like
Really?
me, who convinced their parents to like let them go see it in theater, or saw it on the shelf in Blockbuster or whatever existed in 1989 in the years afterwards. So, which is probably why it was a big part of like my cinematic and comedic upbringing. But why are we talking about it on Rabbit Fighters? It turns out that not every Rabbit Fighter celebrates Weird Al's entire catalog. This one was in your blind spot, Greg, and Brian, you
How
were
dare
semi-acquainted with
No,
it?
I saw this movie a ton as a kid.
Okay, so then, so here we go. UHF.
Yeah, and it's funny because you'd expect I would have seen it a million times because
I did.
actually owned Weird Al albums and like multiple Weird Al albums.
Why?
Like,
You were an anomaly, man.
fucking,
You paid money for them.
oh yeah,
I had
yeah,
Weird
like-
Al albums.
Yeah,
Really?
like yeah. Some of the early shit was like,
Losers.
Don't be
I
shitting
love
on Al.
Rocky Road. For
All right,
another scoop.
hold on.
It's like a
I feel like Brian's
the
got something
early
to say
stuff.
about Weird Al here.
No,
I had
I'm
the
kidding.
early stuff,
I,
yeah.
I would never buy his albums. I remember his parodies on MTV, like
I
the Michael
think-
Jackson one and that kind of stuff.
I think
Amish Paradise.
3D was the last Weird Al album I bought. I think.
Okay, that was
I
the one
think-
immediately before UHF.
I think middle school, the end of middle school also signified the end of Weird Al for me. That's pretty much.
So you like got into girls and left your childish things behind.
I started getting good at stuff and then I could actually talk to people. Yeah. I was a mess of a weird little ball of nerves and
I can support that.
yeah, not a talented person, at least outwardly.
I will say, I rented this movie a lot as a VHS, but I remember not really liking, not liking, but I wasn't really watching it for Weird Al. I thought the Stanley Spadowski character was really funny when I was a kid, and his
Yeah.
whole like shtick,
Michael
and
Richards.
the
Michael
gags
Richards
and
guy.
stuff. But
Yeah.
it's like Weird Al is a standalone parody machine. I never, I thought that wasn't. It's weird that I loved this movie, but I didn't really care about Weird Al.
That's weird. Greg, you
Yeah,
knew
right.
of Weird Al from the music side of it, and Brian, you could not care less about that and knew
No.
about UHF on its own merits.
Yeah, I used to.
Which
I thought it
is
was a funny
insane. So what is this movie about? Before we get too far down the rabbit hole here,
movie. I'm blanking on his name. His name's George what?
George
Newman.
Newman.
Right
Newman,
after
like
Mad,
Newman.
after Mad Magazine, right?
They got two Seinfeld references here, right? Like they got Kramer and Newman.
Well, he named it after Alfred E. Newman, right? From
Yep.
Mad TV.
He has a mad
Yeah. I was just
poster on
thinking
his wall.
So George Newman, aka Weird Al, is kind of a schlubby, super creative, daydreamy kind of guy. Him and his buddy keep getting
Bob.
fired from every single job. Bob, him and his best buddy Bob keep getting fired all their dumb day jobs, flipping burgers and all these things because George can't stop his overactive imagination and he keeps
We've all been there.
daydreaming and all
He's
these things.
so imaginative.
And and so he gets fired once again from many other jobs. Comes back and then he finds himself at a party for his uncle's house, and who his uncle's a gambler. It's coming to money. Apparently they sort of allude to he has money, but he's a gambler, and in his gambling winnings, someone had lost this TV station, a UHF station, that's basically going to go under. So they have George, his aunt thinks that George should manage this station
For
he and
some
Bob-
reason. Yeah.
I don't know.
Throws him a bone.
Yeah.
Throws him a bone and said, "Hey, you go manage this dumpster fire that's going to close down in a week." And so he goes out there, and he and Bob go out, and they decide to start. Well, there's a litany of wacky characters that are already at the UHF station, and he comes in
Conveniently.
with his
Just live
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he comes in with his imaginative ideas and starts turning them into original content like sketches and things like that. But it's not until he discovers Michael Richards' character, Stanley Spadowski, who's a janitor at the nearby network television.
The evil fat
station,
kids.
The evil
Yeah.
rich fat kids across the lake.
Corporate network TV
Yes.
fires Stanley. And George goes over there coincidentally to deliver a package that got misdelivered to him. And so he runs into Stanley, tells him he can come work for him. But he finds out that Stanley's brand of creative, crazy humor really hits it off with the kids. And so he starts this kind of like Stanley Spadowski's Clubhouse kind of like Pee-wee-esque show, and people love it. And they love his wacky, authentic self. And so anyways, it goes into this, and suddenly UHF is a hit. Right, the Station 8, or they're not Station 8. What are they? Station
U62.
62. U62.
Yeah, U62.
So the ratings start skyrocketing because of Stanley, and they start gaining a fan base. And obviously, these ratings increases are driving the big bad network crazy, and so they're out to destroy U62. So that's kind of starts the whole. It's kind of like the Wayne's World thing.
And the network station 8 is run by Judge Smalls from Caddyshack.
Exactly. Yeah. The equivalent of Judge Smalls.
It's just like the same character
Yeah.
played by a different man.
It's like there was like a line of
So Kevin McCarthy's in that too.
No, he's not.
Oh,
The Judge Smalls is a different actor and a different character, but it's basically the
Ted
same
Knight?
goddamn character as Judge
Yeah.
Smalls. Like,
well, I think there was a
same
thing
shit.
where they were parodying off of like Leslie Nielsen, where veteran actors that had like a dramatic or a career that had pivoted to comedy,
Yeah.
and so like the Ted Knights of the world doing like
Yeah.
a very serious actors, and then doing like parody movies and of themselves. So I
Yeah.
think that
Good.
was their
Except-
attempt at that.
Except
Good
Ted Knight
comparison.
is way funnier as Judge
Yes,
Smalls.
yes, he is.
He's
So-
actually like legitimately hilarious.
But and then just wrapping this whole thing up, we'll talk more about the film, but I don't know if it's a film. So that same uncle,
There's a plot. There's
the
a
same-
loose plot.
The
Come
same
on.
uncle that gave him the station goes into $75,000 debt with the same, what's
Big
the guy?
Louie.
I kept thinking
Big
of the
Louie.
Inspector Gadget, the claw.
Yeah, with the meat
like you
hand.
never see his hand. Like it's just,
Yeah, what
this-
the fuck is that guy?
So he goes into debt, 75 grand. So he offers to sell the radio station to the evil network for 75 grand to pay off his debt. But George says, "Hey, give me a chance to buy this instead, offer you." So they run essentially a telethon, and crazy shit ensues. They kidnap Stanley and all this sort of stuff. So anyways, that's the plot. And, in his attempt to save the station and give it back to the community is the plot. In the middle, there's just lots of Weird Al gags and parodies and skits. Some are funny, some are not. But we'll talk about that. But that's kind of the summary of UHF. And
Nice. Nicely done.
but also think wrap it in a
Succinct.
an 80s wrapper.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is
Pastiche.
it's dated, but it also is still kind of works in a weird way. So
Yeah, I think I like it's got this sort of kitschy vibe to it that it's applicable to multiple time periods where
yeah.
even though it was filmed in the 80s, it still kind of feels like the 50s in a lot of ways. 50s, 60s.
Well, yeah.
And so, yeah, you can call back to it at any era and it doesn't feel too out of place.
Obviously, Weird Al is timeless because he's still fucking touring.
Well, people
He's
like Joshua keep
still
buying albums.
around, and he's still touring, and he's
Definitely making some money off Spotify from my family. So.
He looks
Really?
like a year and a half older now than he did back then too. I don't know what the hell he's doing.
ageless.
Clean living. I think
clean
he's a
living of
vegan
Weird Al.
and he doesn't drink, never did drugs. He's just
Got
a
a
wacky dude.
He's living in an Amish paradise.
Loves to laugh.
I got nothing against Weird Al, but when was his peak?
I don't think he ever had a peak. I think that's the joke.
He's had
Yeah.
several though.
No, but I feel like
He's
the
had
early
several.
90s, he was on MTV. I feel like he had like a wave.
80s
of
was
conscious-
huge.
like Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Every
parody
album that
was
has
huge.
ever come out, everyone has been like, okay, that's the last one. They forget about him. And
Yeah,
then 2 years
totally.
later, 3 years later,
But-
there's another album that comes out. Oh, yeah.
But in the
Weird Al's
80s,
back.
when he was spoofing like Madonna and Michael Jackson and Sting and shit,
Mhm.
that was when everyone suddenly decided Weird Al was a thing. They were like, "Oh, Weird Al is funny,"
Yeah.
because he did the videos. The
Yeah,
videos
he entered
really
like the
helped
consciousness
him.
of the video world.
Yeah, and
was
like,
my-
I remember I was telling you guys this, but I was telling my son about the video for Fat, his parody
Yeah.
of Bad. And I was like, Harry, yeah, I'll show you. It's fun. It's kind of funny. It's fun. It was like a big deal back in the day. And I played the video and he's like in this humongous fat suit and just like making fun of fat people left and right. And I was like, maybe we'll just turn this off. Grant was like, so he
Yeah.
really hates fat people. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
You're
know.
like, guys,
it was
get
the,
it.
it was
Fat
the
Rock is
80s.
bad.
It was an easy
it was
laugh.
so good,
and
yeah.
So what are you going to do?
I think but I think that's parody, right? I think he does it okay. Like he's not maliciously doing it. He's comedically poking fun at whatever.
It didn't age well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did not.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it
Yeah,
since.
yeah. I mean, a lot of his stuff is just silly, but this one, he's like in this enormous fat suit and like
Yeah.
holding his balls and like shaking his belly around. I was like, oh my God, fucking hell.
Ham on hold.
Yeah, ham on rye or whatever. Shit, man.
So dumb.
Yeah, and then his voice.
So-
I'm fat. Oh God.
I feel like this isn't the riding hour sweet spot. I don't know. I can see your family just bonding over.
Oh,
Weird
totally.
Al.
And I didn't. It's not like I chose this movie and then the kids have been watching it. Like I literally introduced this movie to my oldest years ago, and he loved it. And then I introduced it to my youngest like sometime in the past 2 years, and I have been watching it more often leading up to this episode. So he has seen it a few times in the past week, but I mean, he dies. Like there's so many
Really?
jokes in there where he just dies. Like it's in the 8-year-old's wheelhouse, just right there, like the sweet spot for humor.
Yeah.
Spatula City kills.
Spatula
I do
City.
not know why.
It's still fun. That is still funny to me.
But why would an 8-year-old would find that
I don't
funny?
know.
I know,
don't
right?
know.
Like I guess he knows what a spatula is. Hey, look, it's I know what that is.
Yeah.
And
Spatula
why would you
City,
make a whole
Spatula
story
Yeah.
out of it?
That one, it's the voiceover where it's like, what better way to say I love you?
Yeah,
Near the
yeah,
spatula.
spatulas. Yeah.
Oh
Right.
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a movie. I mean, I don't recall seeing it in the theater. I think I must have.
Nobody did.
Didn't rush out to see it. I saw
But-
it was like they made it for $5 million and it made $6 million.
Six.
I was
Hey,
like,
that's a win.
it's a win, I guess.
I mean, not really in
Not
Hollywood.
really.
But,
Worldwide
It's
gross.
like a cult classic.
oh yeah,
I'll put it this way: they never made another Weird Al movie.
No, that's not true. The second
No,
one
is it
came-
really?
The Weird came out last year.
Well, that's not a Weird Al movie.
It
That's
is. It's
I
produced by Weird Al. It's about Weird
Is that
Al.
the
It
biopic
stars
one?
Weird Al.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is biopic.
I thought it
that's
starred
like-
Daniel Radcliffe.
it does. It stars.
It
Daniel
also
Radcliffe.
stars Weird Al.
Weird
And
Al's
Oh, really?
in
He's
it
in
as
it?
like
he plays the record
he
producer.
plays a record
okay.
exec. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, he helped write it. It's
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it
ostensibly
was-
about him.
From
but-
1984 to 2022,
Yeah.
there were no more Weird
yeah, there
Al
no he did not dip his
movies,
toe. So this one did not set the world on fire.
No, it
and
did not.
I think the story behind it is that Weird Al in 3D came out and he was starting to go away, and so his record company was like, okay, we got to do something to get him out there and make him a superstar, and
Keep
like
this going.
let's make a movie.
Yeah.
And so they wrote a
Oh,
huge
God.
script. It was like 300 pages or something like that.
What?
And they finally got they narrowed it down, got it to studio length.
Christ.
Finally found a movie studio that would do it, and was enthusiastic about it. And who was this?
They're out of
Orion.
business. They're out of
Orion.
business.
Yeah,
now.
I think RoboCop is what I think of when I think of Orion. They had a few hits, I think. Orion as a
Yeah,
movie
Orion,
studio.
Orion
Yeah, they were big.
Production.
Yeah. Obviously, someone owed them a favor. I don't know. Someone was owed a favor.
They took a shot and on UHF, and so he Weird Al actually turned down a tour with Michael Jackson to film UHF.
That can't
What?
be true.
Absolutely
No.
true. Because he needed to film, so he maybe not the entire tour, but he was supposed to do some appearances with Michael Jackson in Europe, and he's like, I'm filming this.
I
for you,"
can't.
so.
I can't.
So,
I can't imagine Michael Jackson would be like, you know what I've got to do? Have a guy
Weird
who
Al?
like apes me come on stage before I come on and like make fun of
I
my
mean-
shit so that when I come on, it seems stupid.
That's what my cursory internet search
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like a 300-page. It's like the infinite
Yeah.
jest of parody.
He can't be
scripts, like,
contained.
he
He's
can't-
just
it's
you
300 pages. Of
I want
parody.
to know all the stuff that was
It's
cut.
like-
that's the
it's like World War II. It's just there's too much to talk about. It can't be contained by a standard script from Hollywood.
Meanwhile, could have written 4 sentences on a page. Gag.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
It's a bunch of napkins
camera
stapled
pans
together.
over
Yeah.
to
Chunk.
put
Michael
guy
Richards.
in Playhouse, make jokes, dumb stuff. Like
who
lose
pulls
plot.
giant thing out of his nose.
Then, starring
Anyway, so
starring
I
Victoria
obviously
Jackson.
I fell in love with this movie when I was a kid, and I quoted it all the time. And then I think there was a period of time where I hadn't seen it in a very long time, because I remember in college being in a grocery store and finding the DVD in the nice price bin for like $3.
A nice price.
Yeah,
There it
Did
is.
you buy it?
the very same.
Rears his
I
head.
absolutely bought UHF on DVD at the grocery store in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Just who wouldn't? So I think like since then I've had it in my possession, and yeah. So there was a gap there in my like high school probably where I wasn't watching UHF, but
It's like your high school sweetheart, and you met up with her 15 years later, and you were like, oh, we had that thing, and the magic is still there.
Yeah.
We've led separate lives for this period,
Yeah.
but this is a coming together.
and I gotta say, so watching it a lot this time
How
around
many times
with,
did you watch
A
it?
lot.
like 3 in the past
That's
like
a
2
lot,
weeks,
yeah.
2-3 weeks, yeah. I have to say, like a lot I was like in preparing for this episode, like what we're going to talk about, I was trying to like figure out like where this falls in the comedic spectrum. I think I enjoy UHF more than I enjoy Airplane, which as a teenager I think I definitely would have sided with Airplane, but as I've grown older I think I appreciate UHF more. Anyway, that's where I stand. Emo Phillips's thumb. You
He has thoughts.
have thoughts. Champing at the bit there.
He does not
Um,
agree. Apparently, I don't think.
Greg,
how
how you feeling?
I do not like this movie.
picked a hell of a week to stop watching UHF.
I know. I really don't like this movie. This is the rare movie where, because I always try to watch these movies twice. Even Super Troopers, I watched Super Troopers twice, and the second time I watched Super Troopers, I was like, I have marginally more regard for it. The second time, this was the only one where the second time I watched it, I was like, I like it less now. I shouldn't have watched it a second time because it's like re-irritating an itchy spot, like you get a bug bite and you forget about it, and then you like rub something against it and you're like, oh, now it itches again.
What's it you like about this?
Most of it. I didn't like Weird Al at fucking all. I find him annoying as fuck in this movie. Annoying as fuck in this movie. Like his voice, his face, everything.
Like I did the thing where he's like,
holy crap. He has these scenes where he like freaks out. He like, just hit me over the head with a crowbar in my life. I was like, shut up. There's one where he calls Terry
on the phone.
He leaves a message for Terry. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, or
he's
he's in hell.
Terry, I'm gonna die. And it shows her sitting by the phone and being like, maybe I've made a mistake by breaking up with this flaming turd bag. Like, no. This is confirmation.
You didn't see her breaking and trying not to laugh because it was funny.
God. Oh my goodness. You know when Victoria Jackson seems like a good actor in a movie, like that's saying something. I'm like,
yeah, she hasn't done a ton.
She's doing okay, and she isn't a good actor at all. And,
I think anyone would say anyone in this movie is like an especially great actor.
Yeah, Michael Richards annoyed me more the second time. I was like, oh, I can't take you now. I can't take you now. The first time I was like, oh, I guess he's doing a thing. But then like the idiot man-child routine that never stops for a second helping is like, go away. Like why is why does everyone love Stanley Spadowski? He just falls over it all and like, eats stuff and like blasts a kid with a fire hose. I don't love him. The fucking RJ Fletcher guy is just
he's rough.
Shitty bad version of Judge Smalls.
Guy. No, he doesn't.
No, he sucks. The fucking Karate Man guy.
He's like a bootleg Ted Knight.
Yeah, totally. Bootleg Ted Knight all the way. A 10% as funny as Ted Knight. The karate guy from the fucking karate studio who's like,
Getty Watanabe.
Oh my god,
that's the guy from 16 Candles, isn't it?
Yeah, like you can tell he's like I don't know what his deal is, but like to me it sounds like an American guy who's been forced to do a chop socky Japanese accent, because it's like you can hear him doing the accent. I feel for the man as I'm watching it. I'm like, my heart goes out to you, sir, and I know you need this fucking role. But God damn. Also, the guy Trinidad Silva, who tragically perished as they were filming this movie. Car accident. I was like, why is he like Cheech and Chong like turned up to 40? He's just like, hey, poodles. And I was like, oh God, fucking hell. Billy Barty's in it. They got like, hey, it's a midget. Like a fuck. Oh God.
Yeah, Greg's review is funnier than the movie.
Fucking Fran. I think Fran Drescher is one of the only people who comes out here okay. Yeah, it's just fucking like Emo Phillips, who is a borderline funny comic. That I hate the fucking scene where he cuts his thumb off. I'm like,
hate it?
I hate it. I'm like, oh, he's gonna cut his thumb off. He's gonna cut his fucking hand off.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a table saw. There's no other way the scene can go, but you still watch.
I literally put my hand up to the screen so I didn't have to watch his fucking thumb squirting blood everywhere. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. No, fuck off.
That's a delicious guy.
Oh, God damn
incorrect.
it.
It reminds me of the Dan Aykroyd bit for he's cutting the turkey as
spraying all over the place.
Yeah.
Julia Child on SNL, and he cuts.
Yeah. This is like some wine for the dish, some for me.
Anyways, sorry. Continue your hate.
Yeah. And then it's like the guy who plays Bob is just some like clown with a mullet.
David Bowie.
David Bowie, not Bowie. Yeah.
He's very unremarkable. I think out of all the characters, I'm like,
he's got to be just like a friend.
He's like the straight guy, but he doesn't really bring anything.
He's like the Kraft cheese single of the cast. where you're like,
he holds that shit sandwich all together.
Like the plastic of this guy and
to George, but
tossed him in there.
I think for the most part, George is already kind of the straight guy.
Ish.
I mean, he has his moments, but
the
majority of it.
You know who I only like in this movie? I think the Philo guy. I think I only like Philo, and it's because he just calms the fuck down and is like this strange presence in the movie, and you're like,
Anthony Geary.
yeah, I'm like, I've never heard of this guy.
Never heard of him either. Apparently, though, the role was he was the second choice. The first choice was Joel Hodgson from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh.
I've actually never seen any of those. Yeah.
Well, Midwest Minnesota favorite, very much along the lines of UHF in story, because it's like a public access television show that made it big. That was just super weird that people loved, and it got syndicated. So
yeah.
Anyway, Joel was taking a break from Hollywood. So
well, good for him. Yeah, I just feel like all the parodies are lazy as fuck in this. Like they do an Indiana Jones parody, and you're like, oh, another Indiana Jones.
That one does go on a bit long.
God damn it!
That was my first thought. I'm like, this goes on really long.
And he's like, takes the sand out of the bag to try to get the Oscar statue that's supposed to stand in for the idol, and he throws the bag of sand and pulls it off. You're like, that was stupid. Like that was supposed to be funny. Then the guide gets hit by a train, and you're like, what the fuck? It's like danger signs. Oh my God.
I want to. So what are your thoughts on Airplane? Because
I think Airplane's way funnier than this.
Because they're the same fucking jokes. The pacing is exactly the same. The jokes out of nowhere where the guy getting hit by the train, that shit happens all the time in Airplane.
I gotta rewatch
it's
Airplane.
The same type of humor.
To keep it honest,
it's just cleaner.
It's
to
smart.
keep it
it's
honest,
definitely
I gotta watch
smarter
Airplane again.
Jokes,
yeah.
though.
I remember Airplane being funny. I never saw this movie back in the day, so I don't have like warm fuzzy feelings about it to come back to. But
that's surprising. Like, because my thing would be like, well, if someone asked me, I'd say, well, if you think Weird Al's funny, you might find it funny. But it's not like Weird Al. I mean, I guess it's a lot of Weird Al. I mean,
it's a lot of Weird Al.
But I'm saying, like, his brand of comedy, then you would get it. I mean, I loved it as a kid. I remember watching this a lot. I used to think that scene where the kid finds the marble and he blasts off the thing it was the funniest thing in the world.
And the fire hose is funny.
Well, I mean, when I was like 9, but
I think the fire hose is funny.
But there's still some gags in it that I did think were funny. It started off with the Indiana Jones scene. I was like, oh shit. Like, I don't know if I can do this. This is really long. And then and I kind of forgotten, and then it hit Spatula City, and I was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
I think Spatula City's
funny. I remember that. And then there was a couple scenes that I thought were funny that made me chuckle. I always thought I think it was mostly me remembering things that I thought were funny when I was a kid, like the poodles how to fly, teaching the poodles how to fly, and I thought the wheel of fish was funny.
Turtles are nature's suction cups.
Stupid, like
I don't get the suction cup.
So
how is a turtle a suction cup? It's rounded on the top. He throws it at the ceiling, and you're like,
"Are you serious right now, Greg?
How would it even?
Really?
I don't think it.
Yeah. Well, how is it supposed to be a suction cup?
It doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to make any sense.
I don't even get how it's supposed to be a joke, though. Like, yeah, it's one thing if it's like, oh, that's the turtle looks like a suction cup, but like it doesn't. I don't fucking know. I'm like, I guess that's
I think
funny.
The gag is that he licks the bottom of it and he throws it up. Then it's
Does
supposed
he
to
lick
stick.
the bottom?
Yeah, he does the whole like.
Wouldn't it be funny if that was real?
And then the little ant farm. He's like, they hate it when you do.
That's funny. The ant farm I think is funny because it isn't as mean. And then there's like a pile of dead poodles, and you're like, that's kind of fucked up.
I mean, but it's like everything in this movie is absurd.
So yeah, I know, but it's still like I don't want to watch.
It exists in a very
pile of murdered
strange
dogs.
universe.
I don't know.
I do think the dream sequence type things are super dated, though. It's really
oh
funny,
god,
though.
yeah, the
like
Beverly Hillbillies.
I was like, what a
a little shoehorned in there because I mean it's his brain.
He needs
it's
a
known
song
for
parody.
these.
What a timely song parody too. A 1960s TV show and a 5-year-old Dire Straits tune combined together to come up with a timely parody for this movie. Yeah.
I think to me it starts off a little bit more creative than how it ends. I don't know. Like the beginning is kind of funny. The Big Edna's burger place and the buddy thing, and he tries to like develop a story. Once it kind of turns into gag after gag of crappy TV show thing, I was like, oh, okay, this drags on. Like you listed all the gags in the sheet, and I was like, okay, some of them I didn't remember. Bowling for burgers was that?
Yeah, that was like a split.
I was like, did I miss that one?
Yeah,
but in the Uncle Nutty's Funhouse,
yeah.
I think that's like my favorite, not my favorite scene, but the scene that every time I watch it, I'm just like awed by it. Is the kid hawking a loogie?
That's funny, Billy.
In like actually, because you can see him like
You see
getting
him
the spit
actually
up and
spits
getting
on him.
ready, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, how they got this kid from somewhere in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just to be a kid actor and spit an actual loogie in Weird Al's face, and Weird Al walks right into that cannon fire and takes it like a
That's what a
professional.
star does.
And
It's
just
I was like,
every
that's
time I watch
fucking
it, I'm just
gross.
like, that's disgusting.
That's fucking gross. Yeah.
That kid
That's
committed
some-
to the loogie though.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
I was like mad respect for everybody involved in that because that's disgusting, but so real.
Yeah, it's
And
fucking
yeah,
gross.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I felt like that was worth calling out.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I mean, all the various sketches that throughout this show, through the movie of shows, Indiana Jones, Stanley Spadowski's Funhouse, Bowling for Burger, Secrets of the Universe, which was just Philo doing one joke, Raoul's Wild Kingdom, Spatula City, Wheel of Fish, Conan the Librarian, Town Talk, Practical Jokes and Bloopers. Town Talk has actually made a comeback recently on the internet with memes because of AJ Vance fucking couches. And,
That's I saw that. Yeah,
Sex with Furniture. What do you think?
It's funny because I saw that and I was like, "Hey, that sounds like a JD Vance joke." Yeah,
That's ripped from the headlines.
Maybe.
yeah, ripped.
And then Practical Jokes and Bloopers, Gandhi 2, Beverly Hillbillies Money for Nothing, and then the whole end of the movie is like Rambo.
Gandhi fucking 2. I was like, oh,
Yeah, that one's hard
fuck
to take.
you. Oh, it pisses me off.
Yeah,
So fucking stupid.
and
all the
that's,
jokes in this movie are like the basic ass, like easiest fucking like parody jokes you could do for everything. It's like, like he does Rambo. It's just like him doing the same movie, but like having a dumb like tack on for like the big moment. Like
I like how angry this makes me.
instead of the Idol, it's
Funny.
like an Oscar. It's like, oh, an Oscar.
People are allowed to like dumb things, Greg.
I know. I don't though. This is stupid to me. Fucking hate it. Like Gandhi fucking too. Oh, look, he's a pacifist, except he kicks ass and he eats steaks and he like fucks ladies, models. Like,
You have said nothing there that I don't think is hilarious.
hey,
He has machine guns.
It's just like it's opposite Gandhi.
You're taking a beloved historical figure known for passive resistance and you're turning it on its head. Delicious.
Yeah, I can
Oh.
see how that's-
Greg's
Like the
hate for
the
lazy
Rambo
comedy.
parody was like, okay, this is a lot of stuff that happens in Rambo First Blood Part 2. Oh, but
I like that Stanley's just
muscle
with
suit.
him the whole time going, oh.
yeah.
It's the only scene where Weird Al like outacts Michael
Oh.
Richards.
George. Oh. He sticks his horse teeth out.
That's one thing I did want to mention. I've seen this movie a lot as a kid. I never realized those were fake teeth. I just thought those were real as a kid. I was like, these little like horse
I guess
teeth.
I never thought about it. I thought maybe he got his teeth fixed before
I thought
Seinfeld.
he was
Oh.
just sticking them out.
I
for
thought
him.
he had like a fake like buck
I mean,
teeth thing or
you're
something.
probably
He
right.
probably did. Yeah.
But I will give him this. Like he held that energy high this whole movie. He is like in it,
Yeah.
yeah.
The role was written for him.
Oh, it's
And apparently, like Christopher Lloyd was Plan B if they weren't able to get.
I thought I
Michael
read that
Richards.
he based the character loosely around Christopher Lloyd's character in Taxi. Not that he was going to do.
Oh
it,
yeah,
but,
Reverend Jim. Yeah, Reverend Jim's funny. Yeah, that's a funny character.
kind of the man.
maybe
Maybe I misread that, but I thought that's what he was saying. I don't know if Christopher Lloyd's doing this movie.
Christopher Lloyd.
No.
Christopher Lloyd a few years earlier had done Back to the Future.
Yeah, 85 back.
I think he needed this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marty,
He was Doc Brown already.
I've been to the future. You've got to convince me not to do UHF.
They want me to be Stanley Spadowski. And you're like, oh God,
He would have been
Doc, you can't do that. But I don't have as much hate for this movie. It certainly lives in a vacuum to me. But it's just funnier to hear him shit on it this whole time.
It's just, I think he did one thing in the Rambo thing that I thought was funny, but I forget what it was now.
It wasn't that.
Was it the unlocking the cage and the close zoom in on the through the bars, and then it just turns out it's just an open like fence?
Oh no, I think it was a couple of things were like a little funny, like when the guy's shooting at him and he's coming with the arrow and then it cuts to him and he's like a foot away from him and he blows him up. Or like, that is what those movies are like.
Oh, totally.
There's like 70,000 bullets and you're like, the guy, we didn't even get a fucking scratch.
Everybody lines up on top of the hill.
Exactly.
He just goes, they just all fall down.
And he
That was
eats
kind
the
of
bullets.
funny. Yeah, he eats the bullet, but it's like, and then he like uses it to shoot like 700 bullets out of his mouth. You're like, yeah, this movie's fucking that absurd, basically.
Delicious parody.
Yeah.
There
There are a couple of moments.
It's pretty offensive. Like as a kid, I didn't think of it that much, but you know the supply closet with the
supplies.
That one's cringy.
The Cheech and Chongy thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in the Gandhi bit's pretty offensive.
Yeah,
that one's
totally,
that one's
like,
that one's absolutely offensive. I mean, he's doing brown face.
Fucking Gupti stuff.
It's
yeah,
the kind of shit
Jesus
that
Christ.
was okay in the 80s, I guess. Like,
oh yeah,
the
80s
was a weird
love
time.
that shit. 80s love that shit. If you watch 80s comics, like they love Indian people, fat people, like lady jokes. Like this is like a smorgasbord of like 80s like chef's kiss jokes.
There's a couple. I think it's a couple.
And of course,
it could have been way
people.
worse.
Oh yeah,
Asian people got mocked relentlessly by comics in the 80s. That was like a huge one.
Definitely having watched this, there's some problematic scenes in it.
A couple,
yeah,
just a couple.
A couple,
yeah.
But it's not.
I think
how far along?
Knowing Weird Al and his history,
I don't think his intention.
Yes, I don't get the feeling that like he's like one of these actors or comedians or someone from Hollywood that is doing this from a place of hate. It's from a place of ignorance from the 80s, and he wouldn't do this kind of shit now. So
I think he was doing like all my oddball friends get into the movie, type thing. I don't think
he's also parodying what was funny or what was popular at the time, Rambo, and like this was pop culture at the time, and
like I said earlier, like that the video for that song "Fat" that wouldn't fly today, man.
No.
Like that wouldn't fly, and it was like a humongous mega hit in the 80s. Like that was considered as totally acceptable and hilarious.
Joshua, would you say that's one of Weird Al's classics?
Fat? I mean, he's very well known for it.
It's like his Hotel California.
No, I don't think it's. I mean, My Bologna. Another one rides the bus.
Another one rides the bus. Rocky Road. I love Rocky Road.
I love Rocky Road. Instant classic. Smells Like Nirvana.
That's what it was called. I was like, what was that one called? It smells like Nirvana.
I mean, I'm partial to all of
Amish Paradise.
I mean, that's
White and Nerdy.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
like
you're getting into the era of Weird Al that was after I like Smells Like Nirvana is probably about the period that he peaked for me. Mm-hmm. Like there was one album after that had like Jurassic Park references or something on it. Alapalooza, I think was the name of that. And that was like the last one that I know.
You know that.
It just seeps in. The stuff that I don't need seeps in, and everything else just goes away. I think that was like the last one that I paid any attention to. So yeah, the White and Nerdy. I've definitely seen the video, but I don't know who wrote the real song that is parried off of.
That's Ludacris.
It's Riding Dirty, right? But who wrote that?
I think it's Ludacris, but I'm not positive. But I actually 3D was the cutoff point.
The cutoff for you. Yeah.
I only saw White and Nerdy and Amish Paradise I think about 4 years ago, and it may have been you guys that showed me the video links, and I was like, oh, he still does stuff. Oh yeah.
I did see him live at the Taste of Cleveland, in like the mid-aughts, and it wasn't like. I didn't go there to see Weird Al. I was already at the Taste of Cleveland, and Weird Al was also there. But I was very excited to see Weird Al as well, and he put on a hell of a show.
He's a legend.
He did a costume change between every single song.
Wow.
He's had the same backing band almost his entire career, and they're all actually very talented musicians.
Did he switch from one Dan Flash's complicated shirt into the next complicated shirt?
Yeah, right.
Like that was his change.
He's got
Hawaiian
Dan Flash's
to the next Hawaiian shirt.
I think you'd be surprised.
He's got Dan Flash's hair
full
in this
on.
movie. Yeah,
he's like the Celine Dion of parody. Like he just does a full getup for every single song.
Weird Al wears a complicated. You go, yes, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have respect for this guy for sure. Like,
It doesn't sound like it.
no, I do. I think he's kind of funny. He stuck to his guns and he does his thing. And
He knows his audience.
he's got, he's like the Ramones of parody songs where you're like, yeah, he just kept riding that horse until like everyone will die. That's what will end Weird Al and his
He knew
band
where his passion was.
when they all suddenly die.
I unfortunately would. God, I'd put him pretty close to the same bucket as like Gallagher and Carrot Top.
No.
No, he's better than them. He's better than them.
absolutely wrong.
Because he does parody videos. I mean,
He's slightly more clever than them. I would say that. I mean, Gallagher's smashing fucking watermelons. Like, it doesn't require any skill at all. It's just like,
Carrot Top's a prop comic. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, obviously he was born to do this because he's just done it his entire life. And
Right man, right time.
He's probably making these songs when he was like a really little kid, even before he started recording them. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of these people who just like falls into the track they're supposed to be in immediately and then just never leaves it. And you're like, well, like, respect, like, good for you.
It would surprise me. Is there still a market for parody songs? Is there a market for this?
I mean, there kind of always is, right? I mean, like SNL always like those lonely island songs.
Yeah, but
like they're basically parodies. Like
Adam Sandler did a ton of parody albums.
They weren't directly ripping off.
No, not parody. I mean, he did musical funny songs,
yeah,
but not parody.
But like in the style of
parodies to me are pretty lazy. I mean,
yeah, that's what I mean. This movie, like, that's my problem with this movie is like every joke is as lazy as hell in this movie, and it's even come down to the last thing where it's like the guy gets his comeuppance and then the FCC takes his license away and then the old lady kicks him in the balls and then his son gets knocked over into the mud puddle and then someone chainsaws his head off. Like, it's just like, oh wow, one indignation after another that all came from other movies and were like lumped together.
Ties it up very nicely.
Right. And like, I get it. He's probably doing this as a parody of other movies and making a point about how bad some of these movies are. But like the parody of the other movies, the parodies are the easiest, laziest ones you could make. And I'm like, I feel like if they spent a little more time, they could have done better. I don't know. This feels like it was thrown together in about 3 weeks.
To be fair, Josh said this earlier. It's right in an 8-year-old's wheelhouse.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is hilarious too. I mean, maybe the target audience is an 8-year-old.
If I had seen it, because I was a junior in high school when this came out, and I was
11
gonna see this.
I was 9, so
yeah, so like if this had come out when I was in like 6th or 7th grade or something, I would have been like, oh, this is great, I love it. And I might have some affection for it now, but
I will say, our dear friend Ryan, who will be a guest on the show in a few weeks, asked me, like, what are we recording tonight? I said, UHF. His response was, oh, nice. So
yeah, I know people that like this movie.
I liked it as a kid. I have a reverence for it. There's been many movies like this that we've talked about that there's a time and a place for reverence for it in my brain. No, but like in my brain for a certain time as a kid, I thought this was really funny.
Yeah.
And, I stomached it tonight.
Yeah.
But I have no desire to rewatch this ever again. But
my version of this is the old monster movies. We talked about when we did the Godzilla -1 movies. Like, I watched all those old rubber suited Godzilla movies, and I was like enthralled by how great these were. When I was a kid, and you see them now, and you're like, it's a dude in a rubber suit stepping on cap guns and stuff. It's just so fucking ridiculous.
All the old Doctor Who shows from, or the seasons from
totally,
late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
The production values are just god fucking awful. But everybody who's a Doctor Who fan just eats that up.
Old Star Trek too. Old Star Trek. I never watched the original Star Trek series, but I've seen a couple of episodes. And there was one that I walked into a room when someone was watching old Star Trek, and Bill Shatner was screaming at a glowing green brain under a glass like lid. He was like, "Give me back my men," or something, and I was like, "Wow, this show was the show."
Is this worse than Peanut Butter Solution?
An Empire.
No.
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 Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I don't think you're going to get me to
You're
say
not-
that this movie is bad. I love this movie.
You're not going to get out of jail for that one, man.
I want to
The
do
peanut butter
this.
solution is
I
still
want to
the
do a
worst
ranking
movie.
of everything we've reviewed and do like the best of, like top to bottom. It doesn't have to be our official rankings, but kind of best to worst what we've done.
Comparatively.
The peanut butter solution is such utter horseshit.
I feel like that's going to be at the
never be topped. Actually, it's funny because one of my favorite movies that we watched was Brazil, and that's I was going to say that scene where they give him the UHF station in this like they have the party at his Uncle Harvey's house or whatever. Just like the way everyone's dressed, I was like, this looks like one of those rich people scenes from Brazil. Like.
Everyone's stretching their faces.
Weird, grotesque. Yes. Yeah, they stretch his face. They do. They stretch Al's face out.
If we went round table, we got love, hate, and I'm in the middle, I think.
Yeah.
We didn't even do our typical. What did you like? What? Should
we let's back up. Grading scale, because I think we're about at that time anyway.
Yeah.
Grading scale. Is this Yappy's dog treats or is it Mrs. Hockenberger's butter cookies?
What's in the middle? Like the marble and the oatmeal. What about the wiener dog?
A to F.
Twinkie Weiner Sandwich.
The Twinkie Weiner Sandwich. I was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking beat up whoever made this in the movie. God damn it!
I thought that was
disgusting.
creative.
He puts mustard on it. I was like, oh,
no,
fuck
he
you.
puts Cheese Whiz on it.
Oh, Cheese Whiz. It's even worse.
My 8-year-old was so intrigued by that. He was like,
I would try
is that good?
Yeah,
it made me angry to look at it. I was like, oh, I can't. It's same thing with Emo's thumb getting cut off. I had to put my hand in front of the camera.
On the walk to school, I had to try and explain to him what a Twinkie is.
He's never had
a Twinkie.
Right.
I was like, well, it's this thing, and it's kind of like cake, but it lasts forever, and it's not really made of anything real. And
dude,
it might taste okay.
I would try it. Basically, so people who are, if anyone's out there listening,
next week,
the Twinkie Weiner Sandwich, they take a Twinkie, cuts it down the middle, puts a hot dog in it, and then puts like the old school like canned cheese whiz across the top. I thought the same thing as your son. I was like, you know what? I'd take a bite. I'd be curious. No. All right, maybe next week I'll come to the episode with it. I'll try it.
I was like, fuck you.
We'll splice it in. We'll re-edit.
Twinkie Weiner.
Would you try it, Joshua?
Would I try it? No.
Well, you asked, would I try it?
But I would watch you try it, and I would love it.
I bet you it's not as bad as you
because I know what all three of those things taste like. And
bad.
The hot dog is the only good part.
Bad.
I bet you it's not as bad as you think.
I bet you're right. I bet it's not as bad as I think. But I still bet that's pretty bad.
I bet there are a lot of things.
I'm going to come back to this next week. Like, so we want video of you eating this.
Video or it didn't happen.
Yeah,
I bet a lot of things are not as bad as I think they would be. But I still
so Brian has food poisoning.
Yeah, right.
And
2 week sabbatical.
He dips it in heavy cream.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that. Milk.
Yes, the resistance.
Oh,
does he eat it? I forgot to see if he actually takes a bite.
Of course he does. Yeah, he eats it.
And then he sticks his fingers in Bob's mouth to make him smile.
Oh, I hate that too. I was like, I'd punch you if you did that to me, motherfucker. Oh,
yeah,
God.
That's why
Stick your hands in my mouth. I'd be like, Kugh.
So Greg is a Yappy's dog.
Who wants to go first? I can probably be the most succinct here.
Do it.
Or it's my movie, so should I go last? I forget.
I'm trying to think of something. What's in between those two? Because I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I think the Twinkie Weiner Sandwich.
Okay, let's go with that. It's disgusting, but I try it.
That actually works perfectly. Nicely done, Brian.
And that's his review.
I think this is an A.
Shut up.
Is absolutely an A. It is a cult classic for a reason.
It's a cult classic in your house.
It does not try to be anything other than what it is, and so it cannot be graded on any other scale. It knows exactly who its target audience are, and it appeals to that audience and nobody else. Weird Al is he is not for everybody, and he's fine with that. And I'm fine with him being fine with that. So,
an A.
I think it's A. Yeah,
so what other films have you given an A? Because that would.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I feel like
I still haven't gotten around to putting it on the spreadsheet.
Well, I want to put what's something higher. Brazil. That was your pick. You gave that a pretty high score. Yeah. You're saying if this is as good as Brazil.
I think I would want to watch this more than Brazil.
More? You really?
Wow.
Brazil's hard.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Brazil's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I think
but
you give the Wolf
I don't
of Wall
want to
Street
watch Brazil
like
all
a
the time.
B.
This is an easy movie to watch.
Okay. I'm giving
I'm
it.
not giving you. I'm not giving you anything else.
I'm giving you a C. I mean,
C. Yeah.
See.
because I have a little bit of love for it from back in the day, but I'll admit I didn't really watch. I kind of minimized it and listened for a little while because I was like, oh, these gags are just. I can tell what's happening right now.
Yeah, no, you don't need to see
I don't
it.
need to see this visually.
Right
Okay.
through the turtle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Poodle's
plus
coming
I
out
had
the
seen this
window in a
sometimes like, oh, okay, that's that scene. But then I watched most of it. But I kind of forgot the arc about the gambling debt and the selling. I had forgotten all about that.
That's the plot.
Yeah. But then
It's
but then-
buried.
But it
in
also,
between all
Buried
what,
in
I
there.
will say this, and this definitely came after it, but Wayne's World kind of steals that, right? Mr. Big's limo, the big record guy at the end, and I feel like this has a little bit of. I think Pee Wee is after this too,
Mhm.
so I think it paved the way a little bit for some
Also,
absurdist
yeah.
comedy. I mean,
I forgot to mention what's his name, John Paragon, who played the son, Richard Fletcher.
in
He played
Sopranos?
Jambi on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
what?
Jambi the genie. Dad.
Shut up!
Yeah.
That guy?
Oopsie, did I do that? That's Jambi from Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Wait, which guy?
The son
the
of RJ.
son of RJ
really? That's
Fletcher.
Jambi.
Yes, Jambi. Yeah.
And I was thinking of the other guy, the thug number one.
Oh, yeah.
is in Sopranos later. He plays.
Yeah,
He-
he's in a
he
ton
looks-
of those.
He
He looks
looked
like
like
a
somebody, and I was like, "Who is that guy?" Like,
yeah. He looks like some Andy Garcia type, or he
He was
doesn't
in Mean
like
Streets.
Andy Garcia, but yeah.
I tried to place him as well.
yeah, he was in Mean
yeah.
Just having a
Streets,
hard time.
Sopranos. I think he was in another kind of famous mob
There's-
movie.
There's a movie called Once Upon a Time in America, which also had De Niro in it. And it was like it had all kinds of guys like that. I was like, this guy looks like he could have been in any of those movies.
And for a
Yes.
split second, I thought he was. I was like, "Is that the guy?"
Armand
from,
Asante.
I was like, "Is that the guy from Live and Die
Yeah.
in L.A.?" Like,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
kind of looks like him a
It's a
little
little
bit.
bit.
Actually, Armand Asante is right on the nose. I
Yeah, I
think.
thought that's
Yeah.
why I
Wait,
always.
who's that?
Yeah.
He looks like that guy.
Yeah. he's a sort of minor actor.
We're talking about David Proval, is head thug.
That does not look like him.
Armand Asante.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he was in Judge Dredd
Oh yeah,
I never saw Judge.
and the
Dredd.
the classic strip.
he's a little
strip
Armand
tease.
Asante-ish.
You should be able to talk about Armand Asante a little bit more. But
I'm not in trouble at all.
Greg, did you do your review yet?
I didn't.
Hit us.
Brian, you did already?
yeah, I gave it a C.
Twinkie Weiner
Twinkie Wiener
Sandwich.
dogs.
Yeah,
I think that summed it up nicely. It's disgusting, but I tried.
yeah. Yeah, I'm conflicted about this movie because I don't like the content, but I do like I have affection for Weird Al. I'm like I wish him well. There were funny moments in there, and I thought Fran Drescher was kind of funny. I was like, yeah, she's always pretty funny and
This
shit.
is the one
man.
thing I've seen her. She is not annoying in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like Spinal Tap too. She's in Spinal Tap. She,
Really?
She played in Spinal
fucking
Tap.
White Album.
I have to go back and watch Spinal Tap. I don't remember her in that.
Yeah, she's a kid in that. She's about the same age as she was in this. This might be a couple years later, but yeah, I thought she was funny in that. Pretty funny in it. And like it has an ethos about it that I want to support, where it's like all the outcasts and weirdos get to come together, and it's like Revenge of the Nerds, but without weird rapey scenes and stuff. Where like.
Yeah, they just want their own little place to be weird.
They want their own little place to be weird, which I wanted too, and I still do. So yeah, there's plenty about this that appeals to me. I just didn't think it was funny, like it doesn't pass the sniff test there for me, because like the whole thing is supposed to be a comedy. The whole thing is supposed to be funny. It isn't supposed to be social commentary. It isn't supposed to be dramatic. It isn't supposed to make you question your place in the universe or anything else like that. It's just supposed to be funny. And a couple times it is. Like Spatula City's funny. A couple other things are funny. A couple people are funny. I like the Philo guy. I was like, hey, he's all right. You know,
What did you think of him turning out to be an alien at the end?
it was stupid, but you know, it's also kind of funny. Like, I don't know. You're like,
I love the
did Pee
face-
Wee's
the
Big
face thing at the
Adventure,
end,
Large
yeah.
Marge face, you know, or whatever. He pops out.
which came out first.
I think Pee Wee came out second. So yeah,
Yeah,
it has that like claymation face or whatever, and I was like,
scares the shit out of you for a second. Like, ah!
yeah, kind of stupid, kind of funny. And yeah, but like Weird Al's annoying as hell in this movie, though. I just don't like him as an actor. Like, I don't want to see him act. He's a singer for a reason. His voice drives me up the fucking wall, and his faces, his takes to the camera and stuff. I don't like him. God, there's almost no one in this movie that I enjoy seeing and hearing, which makes it difficult. So I want to like it, but I don't. I'm gonna give it a very generous C-.
Ooh, that is generous.
A very generous C- because it in some ways it was a little ahead of its time in you know what it was doing comedically, and I do want there to be a place in the world for movies like this where
For bad
the
movies.
geeks of the world can unite, and it's like it's a good movie for 8, 10, 12-year-old kids, who feel weird and out of it, and they get put in it.
I respect that rating. I'm going to caveat mine. I'm going to go back a little bit in time here because I came in a little hot.
I was shocked. I couldn't have been more shocked if you'd hit me across the face with a red snapper.
Yeah, in terms of like enjoyment, it's still an A. Like I just generally, it takes me back to my childhood. It's very, very funny. On many, not on many levels. It's funny on exactly one
level.
Exactly one level. But it hits it over and over and over again. And so the child in me cannot deny it. But as like a film, as a movie, I think I'm going to back it up and I'm going to say like a B plus. I still think it's good. And there are a lot of things you were calling out, Greg, that I think we just don't agree on. But there are things that you were like, but actually I like that. I like the comeuppance at the end. Like they stagger it the way they film it. It was like he gets FCC, like he loses, and then the FCC gets him, and then they cut over to another character and wrap that up. Then they go back to RJ Fletcher, and then he gets kicked in the nuts, and then they go to another character and wrap that one up. Then they go back to RJ again. Yeah. And so I was just like, as I was watching, I was like, this is actually really well done. And it's super on the nose, but it's like it's a weird out, stupid. It's supposed to be, but so yeah, as a film, it's not as great as a lot of things, but I still like it. It has its ups for me. It has some things that are not so good, and looked through the lens of time. We should leave those types of stupid jokes behind and stupid stereotypes and things of that nature. I think we can all agree. Yeah, that's not great. Yeah. But yeah. So I'm gonna say B for a movie, A for my childhood heart.
And I will say that I don't subscribe to the like if you give it an A, it means you're saying it's as good as The Godfather, because like
genre,
it's for what it is, right? Like as a comedy, you can say it's an A, and it doesn't mean you're saying UHF.
I'm just saying
Godfather.
It's Mrs. Hockenberger's butter cookies.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
really
yeah. So just in time for Halloween, which is next week, we are going to be doing the first movie in the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh God.
Shaun of the Dead.
You remember when zombie movies were all the rage for like?
I do remember when zombie movies. It was 2004.
Really? Is that when it was?
All right. We'll see you next week.
When did they do 28 Days Later?
That's a good
probably 2004.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that is a good one.
From like 2002 to 2010, like you could not get away from zombies, even with how slow they walked. They were everywhere.
Except in 28 Days Later, they run.
Yeah, that's true.
What?